Beautiful friends, it is an amazing Friday. We made it through a very busy week and kind of a traumatic week, not only for us, but for the president who got shot in the head by a dead assassin. And so there's been a lot of coverage. Of course, we're going to zoom in on that today. We got a lot of assassination news. Josh Hawley came out and had a big update saying that it really wasn't the Secret Service who was there. There were other people from HSI, Homeland Security Investigations. Oh, we're familiar with who they are because we covered them back during the Proud Boys trial when we know that the defense tried to introduce evidence showing that there were dozens and dozens of them there on January 6th. Apparently, they were in charge of securing the president. So we have concerns about that because, in our opinion, they were responsible for causing January 6th. They were the people who created the environment to enable a riot to break out, and now they're in charge of securing the president? If they caused an insurrection, could it be beyond them to cause an assassination? Scary thoughts, I know. It's crazy to even say it, but we're going to talk about it. We've got a lot to unpack today. As you can see, we go to the mind map, and let's see what's coming up. We've got our first segment. It's going to be asking the question about whether this was an inside job. Now, we've been saying that there were some volitional, intentional acts that were conducted, made by the Secret Service or the people in charge of the Secret Service to delegate this over to HSI. They made multiple decisions to not investigate this person, to allow him to get onto a roof. They saw him on the roof. They allowed him to be there and enabled him to shoot at Trump and hit him. And so we're going to talk about it because Hawley is coming out, a senator saying that there were whistleblowers who are revealing to us that there wasn't even that many Secret Service agents there. And Hawley also was out on the news reacting to this. So we're going to go through that. He released a statement and sent a letter in over to the Department of Homeland Security. Alejandro Mayorkas wants to know more about Homeland Security investigations. And so we'll come back on that. We know what a corrupt entity it is based on their work on January 6th. We also had Marsha Blackburn. We know that Trump is coming up hot off of a very successful RNC with a great speech that we covered live here. But behind the scenes, we had Kimberly Cheatle, the director of the Secret Service, who was responsible for the death and the destruction that occurred in Butler, Pennsylvania. She was there at the RNC, apparently trying to make sure this doesn't happen again or something, or to make sure it goes off better this time or something. So we'll see what went down there because Marsha Blackburn, a senator, went in and questioned her vigorously. And so we'll see what the conversation looked like. They tracked her down in the middle of the RNC. Senators are furious. Ron Johnson also says that he got a briefing from Homeland and had a whole laundry list of questions that we'll take a look at that he says were never answered. So they were supposed to have a briefing for the senators, pretty important group of people, and no questions were actually answered about this, which is just crazy. Do we know why? Well, because there's a cover-up underway. We also have a couple clips, a longer conversation between Cheatle and some other senators, and Fox News is reporting that the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, apparently they were joking about him as being the school shooter or something like this. So in other words, he's the perfect patsy. Both of his parents were counselors or something. And so we'll go through it. We got a bunch of clips here to get to. Then we're going to see what is going on with this new timeline because, oh my goodness, it is devastating to their fake narrative. And we're calling them complicit in this. We'll take a look at this new timeline that came out from CBS and after these briefings that were held with the senators. And just look at this timeline, just right out of the gate. Look at this. 5:10, Crooks was identified, so as a person of interest, and someone allowed him to get on the roof after that. Then he was spotted with a rangefinder, which you use to measure the range of the targets you're trying to find to shoot. They still allowed him to go on. At 5:52, spot the same suspicious person, on the roof now with his rangefinder. Again, nobody intervened. 10 minutes go by. Trump takes the stage. Secret Service allows him to do that. Another volitional act. Then they continue to sit there looking at this dude for another 10 minutes while he takes aim and fires and hits Trump in the head. So I think that pretty much tells you what's going on here, if you had any doubts. So we'll read through the full article, get some background on that. There were other people running around before the shots even went off. We know that there was just bedlam and madness afoot. We also understand now that Thomas Matthew Crooks apparently had a final message on a gaming software that he sent. We'll read what that is. Here's a photograph of his bike that apparently he rode over there. And we're getting some new questions about this water tower. And this interesting movement up here, you see right at the top of this, looks like there might be a figure up there who's moving around that we didn't catch in the first one, but a lot of internet sleuths have done that and are now pointing out that there may be something weird going on there. There's been a bunch of computer renderings by internet experts, and so we'll read or take a look at some of those as many people are trying to recreate the scene using some 3D graphics, and they're interesting. I don't know that they're forensically valid, but they, of course, are interesting for us to understand what happened there since we were not there. So we've got some good stuff to get to today, my friends. Very glad and grateful that you are here. It's a beautiful Friday. It's been a heck of a week, and I thought it was a nice way to come out of a little assassination attempt with just a banger RNC, and it was great. And we had a lot of fun doing that. So those of you who were able to join us for that live stream, thanks for joining us. It was a blast. Before we get into the news of the day and what's going on with the Trump assassination, you know what we got to talk about. It's bird flu, baby. 9 human cases so far. Oh my gosh, that's more than last time. The illnesses are all in farm workers. They've been relatively mild. And so it's still percolating about. You can see this article published this week says 4 poultry workers in Colorado were contracted with the bird flu. Human cases now totaling 9. Everybody's pretty much okay, though. Cases have been fairly mild, some typical flu symptoms, several reports of pink eye. And so they're researching this. What's going to happen? Now more and more people are getting it. Is it going to transmute or mutate or whatever? Who the heck knows? The point is we want to be prepared. And the way that we can do that is with our friends over at The Wellness Company. You know where to find them. The link in the description below, twc.com/Robert, will take you to The Wellness Company's homepage where you can get your contagion emergency prescription kit. And you should, because it's going to be something that comes with a bunch of good stuff inside, like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, nebulizers, Z-Pak, bunch of stuff that you may not need now, but you don't know if you'll need it in the future. And it comes with a guidebook so that you know how to use it. And it's backed by research from people like Dr. Peter McCullough. So very, very smart dudes assembled this, and you can get yours. It's very easy. Go to twc.health/Robert. Link is down in the description below. You'll save when you use code Robert at checkout, and you'll get free shipping. That way it can come and get delivered, and you'll have it. You'll be prepared in case we need it. These kits are only available in the United States, but grab yours using our link. And don't forget to use code Robert, twc.health/Robert. All right. And get prepared, my friends, because you never know what is coming. All right. And so let's get into it on the day. Question about the Trump assassination is, was this an inside job? We now know that Trump security was shifted from the Secret Service over to another group called Homeland Security Investigations. And this came out from Josh Hawley, a senator who tells us that there was a whistleblower who is now explaining what actually happened. And so Hawley sent this one out to the X universe. It's gotten a bunch of views here, and it says that whistleblowers tell me that most of Trump's security detail working the event last Saturday, J13, were not even Secret Service. It was some other group from Homeland. Department of Homeland Security assigned unprepared and inexperienced personnel. And we've gone through a lot of the different guilty mental states that a person might have. You could say they have no guilty mental state. They didn't want Trump to be assassinated at all. This was an accident. They were, that's the lowest level, totally accident. They weren't responsible. You can talk about reckless misconduct, gross negligence, willful intent that they wanted this to happen, maybe indirect intentional conduct, right? They didn't organize this shooting. They allowed it to happen. They just kind of stood a bunch of stuff down. Kind of reminds you of January 6th, where they didn't bring out the National Guard and Nancy Pelosi and the Sergeant at Arms didn't answer the phone. Same thing happens here. We'll just put the corrupt agency on them. And then when they call in, hey, there's a shooter on the roof, we just don't answer. So here's the agency. Now, this came out from Josh Hawley, and we know he is from the state of Missouri. He sent this over to Alejandro Mayorkas, Homeland Security Secretary. Hawley says, all right, Mayorkas, listen, I write to raise concerns brought to me by whistleblowers about your department's stunning failure to protect President Trump on July 13th. As Secretary of Homeland, Mayorkas, you are ultimately responsible for the agency and its components. And one of the components of Homeland is Secret Service. And so whistleblowers who have direct knowledge of the event have approached my office. According to the allegations, the July 13th rally was considered to be a, quote, loose security event. For example, detection canines were not used to monitor the entry, so bombs can come right in, and to detect threats in the usual manner. Individuals without proper designations were able to gain access to backstage areas. It's like a freaking free-for-all. Department personnel did not appropriately police the security buffer around the podium, and they were also not stationed at regular intervals around this event security perimeter. It's like there wasn't even any security. In addition, whistleblower allegations suggest that the majority of Department of Homeland officials were not, in fact, U.S. Secret Service agents at all, but instead they were drawn from the department's Homeland Security Investigations Team, HSI. Does that ring a bell? Well, it should, because when we were covering the Proud Boys trial, we know that there were dozens of them. Some estimates were that there were 50 of them that were only in the vicinity of the Proud Boys. Remember, there were 5 Proud Boys. There were 50 federal agents that the defense had identified. Now, the government only admitted to 8 of them because they were only the FBI agents. And the judge said, well, you know, the other 42 HSI agents are not relevant to the government's case, or to this case, because the government is only prosecuting using the FBI. They're not even using those people for their case, and those people aren't involved. And so you are not allowed, defense, to show that there were 5 times as many federal agents as there were criminal defendants in this vicinity. It was lunacy. We covered the whole thing. Okay, but nobody knows how many HSI agents were there on January 6th. Nobody has any idea. It's just this new entity that just got stood up. And they can use them when they don't want you to go investigate the FBI. And now they're in charge of securing the president, the same organization that is beyond scrutiny related to January 6th and might be responsible for encouraging it with their undercover cops walking around. So forgive us if we're a little skeptical that they are going to secure the president. So this is especially concerning given that HSI agents were unfamiliar with standard protocols typically used at these type of events, according to the allegations. So now Hawley says, as a member of the Senate Homeland Security and the Government Affairs Committee, which has oversight over you, Mayorkas, I will continue to investigate your department's role in the staggering security failures of July 13th. And unfortunately, your department has not been appropriately forthcoming with members of Congress, abruptly ending the only call with the U.S. Secret Service before most senators could even ask a question. Okay, and Ron Johnson, as we're going to hear from another senator, is not happy about this. You got on a phone call and you just took like one question and hung up on us? This is completely unacceptable, and it's contrary to public interest in transparency. So, Alejandro, listen. Instead, we have learned more from whistleblowers than your department officials, Alejandro. I will continue to protect the anonymity and the confidentiality of everyone who contacts my office, says Senator Hawley, and ensure that they receive the full protections under the law to which they're entitled. And so that my office can continue its investigation, Alejandro, into what happened on J13, please provide the following information no later than 7 days from now. 1. How did Homeland determine to staff the event? Great question. So who made the decision to override the, let's say, default standard of the Secret Service showing up to protect the president? Who overcame that? Was that you, Alejandro? Or was that Cheatle? Including any decision to rely on state or local officers. And we saw there's already a fracture here. Okay, the Secret Service was pointing their fingers at the local cops saying, I can't believe you guys didn't protect the president. They said, what, are you nuts? You guys brought us out here to do traffic. You're the Secret Service. You're supposed to be responsible for that. So then they started, thankfully, pushing back. The township and the other officers leading Butler were saying, no, not at all. Secret Service told us we are not responsible for these things specifically. Then the Secret Service lied about that. The Secret Service said, oh, no. The reason we didn't secure the roof was because there were cops in there. No, there weren't. That was a lie. So that is another part of the cover-up. It's gone beyond just incompetence. They're lying to cover up their incompetence. So-called incompetence, or they're lying to cover something else up. So what percentage, says Hawley, of the DHS agents at the event were from HSI rather than the Secret Service? Why did you remove Secret Service protection? Were a majority of the officers at the event drawn from HSI or other DHS components rather than the Secret Service? And if so, why? Were Homeland agents properly trained in staffing these events? Because it sure didn't look like it. Did gaps exist in the security perimeter, and were the usual protocols followed for the use of canines and magnetometers? No. Were agents not properly stationed around the podium? Were the standard protocols followed for issuing designated pins to vetted personnel that are allowed backstage? And how long did agents physically spend on the ground surveying the site before the event? Did any paperwork obligations prevent a longer or more robust site survey? I await your response. Sincerely, Josh Hawley, United States Senator. This went over also copied to Kimberly Cheatle from the U.S. Secret Service. And these are great questions. And one question I have for Josh is, did these questions come from the whistleblowers? So in other words, do we know the answers to these questions already? Did gaps exist in the security perimeter? He knows, yeah. Oh, yeah, there were. And no, and the whistleblower told him, no, we did not follow the usual protocols. Normally, we have canines. Normally, we have other magnetometers. Don't have those. Normally, we have agents around the podium. Didn't have any. Why? Were the standard protocols followed? Designated pins. Whistleblower says, we didn't even have pins. We normally have pins. They even told us to take the pins off. So maybe he's inquiring, or maybe he knows the answer. And again, they can just tell us that there's this magical incompetence fairy that's responsible for all this stuff. Oh, it's just it was an accident. A magical incompetence accident fairy that's responsible for all 55 different security lapses that conveniently ended up with one person being shot in the ear and another in the head and others in the torso. Weird. Everybody just blames the magical incompetence fairy because they don't want to actually ascribe malice to the people who are malicious. Ridiculous. Here's Josh Hawley saying, we got to get to the bottom of this. As we saw, he wrote that letter on Cheatle. He's also commenting about this on with the media. Here he is.
All right. Some interesting developments today. Kimberly Cheatle, the head of the U.S. Secret Service, did participate in a virtual briefing today. Senator Josh Hawley was one of the principal participants in that. Homeland Security Committee, Republican senator from Missouri. Senator, very good to have you.
Thank you.
How did it go?
But badly. I mean, let's be honest, the Secret Service is out there and the FBI now doing these secret calls, these behind-the-scenes briefings where, by the way, they don't really answer questions. They strictly limited the number of questions. The Secret Service director herself did not actually brief. She was present on the call, but didn't do hardly any briefing. When she did try to answer a question or two, it did not go well. She was not well prepared. This needs to be done in public. Bottom line, we need public hearings. We need a full and thorough investigation. You know, what we know about this is that there were 62 minutes, 62, between the time that the Secret Service identified the shooter as a person of interest, somebody acting suspiciously, and the time he started firing shots at the president. I mean, what in the world is going on? We've got to find out.
They just let him stay there. Yeah, he just was allowed to stand on the roof for at least 10 minutes after Trump was out already on the stage. So Marsha Blackburn was also furious about this. She says, you know, I just got off, she's another senator, with a briefing with the Secret Service and the FBI. She says, I am appalled to learn that the Secret Service knew about a threat to President Trump prior to him even walking on the stage. The dude is on the roof, getting set up, getting his scope ball in, putting everything where it needs to go. Secret Service is still waiting for their pizza to get delivered. She says, I have no confidence in the leadership of Director Cheatle, and I believe it's in the best interest of our nation if she steps down from her position, and she does so immediately. And so at the RNC, Kimberly Cheatle was either there to make sure this didn't happen again or to make sure it happened differently this time. But she was there, and she got confronted big time. And so we got 2 clips of this. Here's one short clip. This is from Marsha Blackburn herself. Okay, this is the senator who is there from Tennessee going after and confronting the Secret Service director.
This is exactly what we were doing today on the call.
Stonewalling. Attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump answers.
Run away, Cheatle.
Roger, take a left across this plaza.
She's like, I need Secret Service protection from these senators. Look at her. She doesn't look comfortable right there at all. Wow, I'm getting actually questioned by the senators. She knows it doesn't matter. Whatever, and do whatever we want. We're in charge here. She's like, you better be careful or else we'll take you out too, Marsha. Better watch it, Marsha. See what we do with your next security event there, Marsha. Good luck. So, all right, that's Cheatle. Now, there's another clip from her that is even a little bit longer. And so let's jump into that one because there was more to this interaction. Here, this one was reposted by Colin Rugg. As always, a great follow at Colin Rugg on X. Here's what he shared from more of this conversation when they finally caught up with her. Okay, audio's rough.
All of us were on the call today. Very disappointed. We were all in the queue trying to answer questions, and until we run out of questions, they hadn't. Every one of us had questions that we wanted to ask. We felt we didn't get any of the responses that were necessary from you. Very disappointed in your leadership. I have called for your resignation, and I rather you resign tonight or start answering our questions right now about the death threat to President Trump and allowing him to go on stage in Pennsylvania at a time when he'd already been alerted that there was somebody with a spotter, all these situations already identified an hour before, and you let him go on stage.
You let him on.
Without
Why?
the knowledge of him, the team on the ground, and you put him within less than an inch of his life. So resignation or full explanation to us right now.
We are trying to get our questions.
She even saying anything?
Was running the phone. And not again.
Not even saying anything.
He was nearly killed. You mean an hour out, you have a suspicious person, and at 5:51, according to the timeline of your deputy, you identified a potential threat. And then at 5:52, you told, or someone told,
You're just going to sit there and nod. Okay.
the sniper that he was there, but
Okay, Marsha,
give us
is
an
what she's saying.
explanation. Why would anyone allow the president to go on stage when you know you've got a potential threat and you've got snipers that are trained on it? Why? I don't think that this is the format.
Ah, got it.
Wait a minute. Well, you hung up on. We're here.
Did you hear? She says, this is the first words out of her mouth. I don't think this is the appropriate forum to be having this conversation. This other senator says, you hung up on us, you person?
Turn off the meeting first. Well, we can find a place to go right now.
There's a lot of rooms. Go find a room.
All right, we're back again.
We'll leave with you then.
Okay, we'll just follow you. Yeah, we'll come with you. Where are you going?
No, we're going with you.
Yeah, we'll see you. Come on. Oh, man, did you see how fast those senators move? Man, they can move sometimes when they want to. You got to be careful with them.
Go ahead, son.
Go get her. Go get her. Are they running? All right.
No shame, no concern. Can you answer the anyone? I'm going to tell you the answer. The answer to us. The answer to us. This is exactly what you were doing today.
This was an assassination attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump answers.
Go.
All right, so that's where we picked it up, the last one. All right, so these senators better be careful, man. She's just going to take Secret Service protection off of them. She's like, oh, I see. So how about we just give you guys Homeland Security investigation security teams moving forward? How'd you like that? They all just got HSI teams now. No more Secret Service for anybody. You all get HSI. I know they don't actually get Secret Service. I'm only joking. But it is curious, right? We'll maybe change some of the security at the Capitol over there. See what you guys think about it. So here is the two senators explaining what they did, why they did it, and why they're demanding answers from our cover-up Secret Service.
I'm John Barrasso, chairman of the Senate Republican Conference, and Senator Blackburn and I just went face-to-face with the director of the Secret Service asking for specific answers about what happened with President Trump in Pennsylvania and how that shooter was able to get off a clear shot when the FBI and the Secret Service knew that there was a suspicious person an hour in advance of when the shooting occurred.
And they identified a potential threat at 5:51. She would not answer our questions. She wanted to say it was not the time or place. This is after we've been through a conference call today where the question queue got cut off. But I've got a message for her. She can run, but she cannot hide because the American people want to know how an assassination attempt
Yes, we do.
carried out on former President Donald Trump.
Yes, we do want to know the answer to that. But the Secret Service is in the middle of a cover-up. They don't want to answer any questions about this because they know that there's some culpability here. How far does it go? Remains to be answered. Senator Ron Johnson was a part of this terrible briefing from our useless government. He posted this on X. He says, the U.S. Secret Service Senate briefing was unbelievably uninformative. Says only 4 questions were allowed. The rest of us are supposed to submit some questions. I already have done so, and so I'm awaiting a response, but I'm not holding my breath. So here is what we have from Johnson, who sent these letters in basically immediately after from the United States Senate to the chairman, and he's on the Homeland Security and the Government Affairs Committee. So he posted this. He says, all right, FBI, all right, DOJ, and you, Homeland Mayorkas, I've got some questions for you people. On July 13th, our nation experienced a tragedy, the attempted assassination of Trump and a dead man called Corey. According to reports, the would-be assassin Crooks was armed with a rifle, and he was positioning himself 164 yards away from the stage, right where Trump was speaking. Amazing. From there, the suspected gunman apparently fired at Trump, wounding him. 2 spectators at the rally were critically injured, 1 person killed. According to a Secret Service statement, the gunman fired multiple shots from an elevated position. Now they neutralized him and he's dead. Now, while there is much more information that is yet to be uncovered and shared, the American people deserve a full explanation and complete transparency about this security failure. And so accordingly, I request that your agencies, all of you, 3 of you, DOJ, FBI, and Homeland, all preserve your records because we have questions. In fact, I want answers to all of this. I want to know about the protective detail. I want to know about threats made against Trump. I want to know what you guys have done about those threats. And here's what else I want. A copy of the security plan in place, if there even was one. I want all records that came from the Secret Service, FBI, state, local law enforcement related to this. I want a detailed description of the entire vicinity, the size of the perimeter, the total number of Secret Service personnel involved, the total number of FBI people involved. This needs to be amended to include HSI. The total number of state and local enforcement officials, see, because this is what happens. This is why they give everything to the HSI, because they just say, people don't think about them. They don't even ask about them. Tell me how many Secret Service and the FBI were there. Okay, and they say, well, 8 and 5. And you said, but there were 100 HSI or whatever. The total number of state and local law enforcement involved, a detailed list of all the Special Operations Division. I want to know about the counter assault team and the counter sniper teams, a complete list of all federal, state, and local entities that had access to the security plan and who were participated in the creation of it, a complete list of all federal agencies that did logistical support. Similarly, unmanned drones and what other countermeasure equipment was there. This is a nice list. A description of the screening procedures that were used and the security perimeter that was established. More questions. Question for you, government. Did the Secret Service receive requests for additional security protection from President Trump? If so, when were those requests made and were those requests granted or denied? Was the Secret Service or the FBI aware of any threats or any other information about a security threat on this particular day? More questions. We want a detailed timeline of the rally, when Trump walked on stage, when Trump was fired upon, when he was escorted off. Apparently, they tell us that one rally attendee attempted to alert the police at least 5 to 7 minutes into Trump's speech. Was Secret Service or the FBI made aware of this warning? And if so, did the Secret Service or the FBI, when did you first become aware? Have you interviewed the rally attendees, the people who tried to alert the police? Has the Secret Service identified or interviewed anybody who received an alert about the presence of the shooter? If so, we want their names. When specifically and how specifically did the Secret Service or Homeland become aware of the suspected gunman? Did the gunman evade Secret Service detection until the moment he opened fire? No. If so, why was the area not closely monitored or secured? Well, we know the answer. Was the building, including its roof, in which the suspected gunman swept by Secret Service or local law enforcement? When did the suspected gunman arrive to the rally site in Butler? How did he get to the roof? We want all electronic communications between the Secret Service, the FBI, local law enforcement. We also want to know about the assassin. Was he on a watch list from the FBI or the Secret Service or local law enforcement? Did the FBI have a file on him? Did he complete a Form 4473 to get his firearm? What social media accounts was Crooks on? Was Crooks ever communicating with anyone ever about assassinating Trump? And if so, who and when? How, when, and where did Crooks attempt or get the firearms used in this attempted assassination? And did Crooks have any criminal history or history of mental health problems? And the final page, they say, we want to know the number and the type of weapon and bullets that were recovered. How many bullets were recovered? Have all the bullets been recovered? We want all firearm tracing requests that were connected to J13. We want to know what other items law enforcement discovered after the shooter was neutralized, in addition to his electronic devices. There were reports saying that there were explosives found in the shooter's car, which was parked near the rally. When did law enforcement locate the car? Where was it parked? How long had it been parked there? Was the car parked in an area that was swept by Secret Service or law enforcement? Did you guys even look at it? Tell us about the amount of explosives that were apparently found in there. And in addition to the explosive devices, what other items were discovered in the car? All records and all of this. We want anything that you told Joe Biden, too. Anything you told Mayorkas or Cheatle. And here's a question. This is a great, great question. Does the FBI and Secret Service believe that Crooks acted alone? All by himself? Was able to just waltz on in there and shoot Trump in the head? No. Thank you for your attention to this important matter. Please confirm the preservation of records and provide the requested information as soon as possible. Sincerely, your friend, Ron Johnson, Ranking Member, Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations. So, great letter from Ron Johnson. Really nice questions. I suspect we'll get answers to almost none of that. But regardless, we want to know the answers to that. That's why Kimberly, Cheatle, and the Secret Service are so petrified about answering questions, because we're going to see that yes, some incompetence, you'd presume. It's the government, okay? We understand that they're incompetent by their nature and design. But there isn't also enough incompetence to eliminate the maliciousness, the intentional malfeasance. There's a difference between the two. And there's always an attempt to minimize intentionality with incompetence. And they just point to the magical incompetence fairy who comes around with the magic wand and just bops everybody on the head. Oop, boop, 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 boop. And suddenly there's a shooter on the roof shooting Trump in the face. No, it's too much incompetence. And when you have that aggregation of all of it, the more likely explanation is that it was willful negligence. It was more than that. It was intentional allowing this to happen, intentionally allowing this to occur. Opening a window, not guiding it, but it's indirectly creating an environment in which Trump can be assassinated. So here is more about the shooter. The Perfect Patsy. He was apparently a weird kid at school. They had a joke about him. Maybe he was nicknamed the school shooter. Both parents are therapists. We've heard this before. And he's just dead. No social media. Apparently some encrypted conversations with other people out there. Nobody knows who they are or what CIA office they work in. But here's what Carly Bonney clipped for us over from Fox in the Morning.
But you don't want to be the one alienating yourself from the Secret Service who's going to be with you the rest of your life. Right. So I get it. But he's got to be angry. Yeah. But the more details he has to see how preventable this was, to see this guy with IEDs in his car, that his parents went out there and called the cops and said, my son is essentially dangerous. Both the parents are therapists. This guy nicknamed was the school shooter. Yep. And he gets on there with the slope of the roof. And I'm saying to myself, one day the slope was the story. Then we find out where the Secret Service was set up, it was even a steeper slope. So the Secret Service tried to flat out lie when he said the slope was the reason we weren't on there.
Brian, I've seen on Twitter, formerly Twitter, now X.
You're banned.
The White House roof is sloped. I've seen some pictures of the Secret Service guys on the roof of the sloped White House.
Dude, the guy's shower was more sloped than that roof that the shooter was on, okay? It was like nothing. They had several different SWAT team members up there, just hanging up there on the roof like it was a sidewalk, okay? It's not even a big slope. They lied about the slope. They lied about local cops being responsible for a lot of the security. They lied about local cops being in the building. Why are they lying? It's more than just incompetence. There was intentionality here.
I think the former president's point also is that the people that were on him that day, as far as those Secret Service, they have no responsibility for what happened that day.
They didn't set it up.
That is the advance team. They did what they were supposed to do in the time of need. Now, I've been quite honest about one of the females that were on him. I don't think she was large enough to be on the former president. She couldn't host her weapon appropriately as well. But it looks like the director has gotten that under control. He has people that are more his body type size guarding him now. But the president wanted to show them appreciation. And this is a Washington problem. And I think so often when we're talking about the FBI, CIA, our criticism isn't the rank and file people that are doing their job on the day. It's the leadership. That's the question. What is the leadership doing in the Secret Service to make sure whether it's advance or counter snipers have the tools they need to secure our former commander-in-chief?
Supposed to get answers next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to get any. It's plausible deny. No, it's just a mistake. We didn't do anything intentionally wrong. We can deny that we wanted Trump assassinated. We just failed to secure a building. Plausible deniability. We know that it's much more than that. There's many layers here. Their entire job is to prevent the president from being shot. They missed one of the most obvious buildings of all time, and they had eyes on the shooter for minutes, and they allowed him to fire. So there's more to that than just incompetence. So we're going to, of course, continue to cover this, but it's reprehensible. Certainly looks like there were insiders making decisions to enable this to happen, and we're excited to continue to cover this. So my friends, thank you for joining us as we get to the bottom of this. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel, wherever it is you're watching. Thank you for sharing this content with a friend or family member, inviting them to come join us when we go live, because this story, I think, is just at the very beginning. There is a lie and a cover-up underway, and Kimberly Cheatle is responsible for it at the direction of the rest of the Biden administration, no doubt. So we'll keep covering it. Thanks for joining us as we do. But we're not done here yet. We're now going to jump into this new timeline. This new timeline is devastating to the Secret Service, shows that they were complicit in allowing the shooter to get up onto the roof, get set up. They brought Trump out onto the stage, and they allowed the shooter to then fire at him and hit him before they finally took him out. The timeline's insane. We'll read the full article, but here it is right out of the gate. Just ask yourself, at every one of these entry points, okay, there are just 5 entry points here, but there are multiple other opportunities for somebody to do something to stop this, and it didn't happen. At 5:10, Crooks was first identified as a person of interest. Great, check him out. It's over. The whole thing's done. We have a living Corey, and Trump has his full ear. 5:30, nobody stopped him. Crooks was spotted with a rangefinder. Somebody could have stopped him. Nobody did. If they would have, we would have avoided this tragedy. At 5:52, Crooks spotted on the roof by the Secret Service. What's that person doing on the roof? Is it the same person of interest? Yes. Is it the same dude with a rangefinder? Yes. Somebody could have done something at 5:52. Nobody did. Another volitional act. I'm presuming that somebody's talking about this. There's conversations happening back and forth. Someone's got a person of interest, log that being logged in the radios. Okay. Someone says, don't do anything about it. That's a volitional act. Spotted with a rangefinder. Should we do something? Not a big deal. Let him go. Another volitional act. Crook was spotted now with on the roof. Dude is on the roof. Let him go. Not a big deal. Everything okay to bring the president out? Yeah, it's perfect. There's just a person of interest with a rangefinder on the roof. Bring Trump out. Sounds good. So Trump takes the stage at 6:02. The dude has 10 more minutes on the roof under Secret Service awareness to set up the gun and fire the bullets at 6:12. Crook fires the first shots. Some people say 6:11. Absolutely insane. And at every moment, at every juncture, somebody could have done something to stop it. And somebody clearly didn't. And in fact, in order for all of this to happen, it sounds like somebody's making multiple decisions to enable it. Complicit in this outcome. Their entire job is to prevent this from happening, to investigate this stuff. And they declined multiple times. And then they lied about it. Then they blamed the local police, and they're trying to cover it up because that's what this is, a cover up. So let's read the full story here. You can see it is wild. We are going to jump into it. From CBS News, they say Secret Service spotted Trump and the shooter on the roof 20 minutes before gunfire erupted. Several law enforcement officials are the people who brought this to our attention. Snipers spotted him on the roof outside the security zone at the rally on Saturday. 20 minutes later, he shot. In the days since the shooting, the Secret Service come under scrutiny. They've been subpoenaed to testify. We'll see if they show up next week. We'll be here. The revelation of the timeline came as sources told ABC News that Crooks searched his phone for the images of Joe Biden and Trump and searched the dates of Trump's rally. The phone search also revealed no indication of his political views. I know it's funny. A lot of people saying, he's a Trump supporter. Wait, what? He's a Trump supporter? So he wanted to shoot him in the head? Are you listening to yourself, you insane person? Well, he was a registered Republican. Okay. So he wants to shoot him in the head and vote for him at the same time or something? What? The FBI director, his deputy director, and the head of the Secret Service told lawmakers that Crooks was identified as a person of interest over 1 hour before the shooting took place. And the timeline, 5:10 identified, 5:30 rangefinder, 5:52 on the roof, 6:02 bring Trump out, everything's great. Then he starts blasting. From the time Crooks fired his first shot to the gunman being killed was just 26 seconds, man. So those sharpshooters were fast. 11 seconds after the first shot, Secret Service counter snipers acquired their target. 15 seconds after that, Crooks was shot dead. So is that one shot? Is it the one bullet we heard at the end was the final kill shot? because that means those other 5 rounds were from another gun. Briefers told lawmakers that Crooks purchased an ammunition and maybe another shooter. Briefers told lawmakers that Crooks purchased an ammunition box at Walmart 2 days before the rally. Then July 13th, went to the rally site in the morning, was there for an hour, left, came back sometime early 5 p.m., tried to enter the security perimeter. New analysis by ABC News and their visual verification team reveals that one of the 2 sniper teams posted on top of the buildings repositioned before the first shots were fired. 3 minutes before the first gunshots rang out, the sniper team on the roof of the building the furthest away repositioned, turning from the south to the north in the direction of the shooter. They're looking over here. Oh, shoot, there's shots. The motive for the assassination attempt remains a mystery. Whoa. According to briefers, they've not been identified any ideological nexus to Trump or Biden. Yeah. Based on the interviews with the parents, law enforcement told members they believe that neither has strong political leanings. FBI says we've conducted 200 interviews, though a law enforcement sources said Crooks is believed to have purchased a 5-foot ladder at Home Depot, does not appear to have been used to climb on the roof, and the ladder was not found at the scene. So here's a visual. Yeah, location of the shooter's body was right about here, and that seems about right based on where the blood was. Some people have him closer onto this side of the building. Some have him closer on this side of the building. But there were the 2 sniper teams near this barn here. This was a very sloped roof, much more sloped than this other roof. But they're saying that this sniper team north may not have been able to see him because this tree was blocking this line of sight. Now, the water tower is back this way, and they're saying the water tower may have had a second shooter that launched projectiles into the bleacher here, or maybe over this direction, and actually hit the gentleman in the torso who was removed from the bleachers and exited this location. So then the South sniper team repositioned. They'd have a more direct line of sight over the shooter because they're not blocked by the tree. And maybe that's how it went down. Now, Crooks was able to get a clear shot of the former president by scaling an air conditioning unit that's accessible from the ground. Wow. This guy's like like Jason Bourne or something. Amazing. I wonder why they couldn't catch him. And pull himself on top of the building, outside the security perimeter. So when everybody's calling this in, hey, 20 minutes ago, hey, there's a dude on the roof. They can't figure out how to get on the roof. So then the cops are like boosting each other up, right? Like boosted that one cop up. He falls, injures himself because he gets a barrel pointed at his face. So we got to put the cop falling off the roof into the timeline somewhere. He falls off, gets injured. They call it in. There's a dude who pointed a gun at cops on the roof. He's going to shoot Trump. Don't know when that call gets made. So maybe the shooter then hurries up, and then they still allow him to shoot. So the snipers still don't act. And then he does shoot. So then they're trying to figure out, how do we get on the building? Nobody thinks to climb up the air conditioning unit, I guess. From there, he gained access to the top of the neighboring building, the sources said, just climbed up on an air conditioning. Witnesses told ABC News they saw him shimmying up the slope of the building. All the witnesses could see this, but the Secret Service and Homeland couldn't. Weird. Yeah, or maybe they didn't want to do anything about it. He got up to 8 shots at Trump. They say he got off up to 8 shots at Trump. But we think that there were 3 weapons. So did he use 2 weapons? Because he definitely sent off the first 3. Then there was the next batch of the 5. Then there was the one at the end for the 9. If we think that there were 9. Some people say there might have been 11. We also think there might be 10 or 11. And one of those might have been the hydraulics breaking. So he got 8 shots. Did he use 2 guns? I don't think so. Not in those 26 seconds. So if we have 3 guns, the shooter's gun, the counter sniper's kill shot, where's the middle gun? Where'd that come from? Who was shooting that gun? Trump said he suffered a bullet wound to his right ear, and that was confirmed by the Secret Service, so it's not Trump said, ABC. 3 rally goers were also shot, 50-year-old volunteer Corey. Minutes before pulling off the assassination attempt, everybody saw Crooks walking around near the magnetometers where rally goers were being scanned for weapons. New bystander video shows Crooks pacing just beyond the boundaries, about 1 hour and 5 minutes before the shots were fired. Yeah, Crooks' presence in the area of the metal detectors minutes before the shooting caught the eye of someone in law enforcement. He went to approach him. At that point, The would-be assassin backed up and faded into the crowd like a mysterious secret agent. Not clear how long before the shooting had happened. Between the time he was spotted near the magnetometers and when Crooks allegedly fired at Trump, there were two sets of radio transmissions. One reporting that police were looking for a suspicious person, and another more generic warning that officers were following up on something suspicious. As officers began searching for the suspicious person, he made his way up to the building. Now, yeah, at the time, the building, Crooks made his way to the area of the AGR building, the sources said. At the time, the building was being used as a staging area for local police who were inside the structure, said the Secret Service director. But that wasn't true. More specifically, ABC News said that there were local police in the AGR building. Investigators believed that they could have led to confusion as snipers were trying to determine where and whether the threat was coming from someone else. Now, the local cops were disputing this, as we covered earlier this week. Yeah, and that the Secret Service requested, this contradicts even this own story. So ABC News said that the Secret Service had local police in there as this was a staging area. No. Washington Post reported that the Secret Service requested a local police cruiser to be stationed at the AGR building, but the local cops couldn't even provide one. Okay, there was no staging area there. The Secret Service lied, and they knew that. The local police, they said, "Can you please help us?" They said, "No, we can't." They said, "Okay, I guess we'll leave it empty." And then they lied about that. So as the FBI investigation continued, questions swirled about how the gunman was able to get there. While Crooks was making his way, Secret Service agents were listening to radio traffic, heard local law enforcement talk about someone and a confrontation involving the police. Butler County Sheriff said that he was informed by other law enforcement officials there was a suspicious person and actually put his weapon at some cop. Then shots rang out moments later. Cop falls off the side of the building. Then he hurries and shoots Trump. Suspicious devices. They also found a remote transmitter. The receivers were connected to a series of components that they say met the eye test that it probably will blow up. Investigators also found a tactical vest. Unclear why he didn't wear it. Some investigators are wondering whether he anticipated dying in the attack. Shooter also asked his employer if he could take off on Saturday. Some people say he was bullied in the past. An examination of the phone hasn't turned up any evidence about the motives. Weird. Only routine information for a 20-year-old. Investigators have found that he was a loner. He was odd, according to preliminary findings, always. Multiple sources say. FBI analysts are trying to assess whether he was hard to get close to or whether he was shut off. He had been bullied in the past, but not over the top, said one person. Investigators are also looking to see if he covered his tracks, by using burners or other communication devices. What's he having to cover up? Who's he talking to? Or communication devices. The Pennsylvania State Police said in a statement that it provided all resources to the Secret Service, including 30 to 40 troopers, but was not responsible for securing the building, right? Or the property. No, we don't do that. That's your job. Cheatle confirmed that local police, she lied, man. Cheatle confirmed that local police were present inside the building at the same time the shooter was on the roof, which also makes it even more incompetent. Like the cops are like, "What's that noise up there? Is it raining? Is that thunder? Are those gunshots?" They weren't in the building. Cheatle also said local authorities were tasked with securing the building. Lies and cover-up. She said, in this particular instance, we did share support with that particular site and that the Secret Service was responsible for the inner perimeter. And then we sought assistance from our local counterparts for the outer perimeter. Liar. Liar, liar, liar. The local police totally dispute that. Pennsylvania State Police says no. We gave them everything they wanted. We were not responsible for securing the building or the property outside the security perimeter where he opened fire. That's not our job. Liar. And now she's also ignoring senators and their demands. So interesting. Lies just continue to compound. The official timeline shows they wanted this puppy to happen. And so apparently we also see that the shooter had a final message that he sent out. Colin Rugg had this story for us. And here is what this post is over on X. says, according to Fox News senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich, Crooks uploaded a message on Steam, gaming software, said something like, July 13th will be my premiere. Watch it as it unfolds. Investigators reportedly also found searches of Crooks' laptop, including Trump, Biden, when is the DNC convention, July 13th. Still say no evidence of an ideology. And there's a community note. Yeah, so maybe it's not real or accurate. We don't know. Anyways, so the articles are weird. So here's one from WTAE. This one says, FBI now believes, that the Steam post is fake. So maybe that was actually fake. So FBI now believes the post on a gaming platform is fake. Earlier in the day, they thought it might be him. Trump was hit in the ear. FBI continues to look into it. So he's not even on Steam. So no social media presence at all. Now, this is also weird. We're noticing he was on a bike. Apparently, this is what it looked like with the backpack. So we don't know if he carried his firearm with him over his shoulder or what happened. We also are asking questions about this water tower. And this water tower has been raising some eyebrows. Here was one zoomed in link and clip that came from this guy, Stufan. And we got some new community notes on this. Yeah, so John Cullen is here posting about this. And we're watching what's happening on the water tower. Now, I'm being cautious I'm just sharing this with you. I advise caution on all this because there's fake stuff floating around out here. But what people are noticing is not necessarily that there's something at the top of this water tower. Like we're watching this location here. That's not really what we're concerned about, but it looks like there's this figure up here, doesn't it, right here? So it's not only that there's this silver little cap on the top of the water tower, but it almost looks like, if you're zooming in on this guy zoomed in, difficult to see, but at 14 to 16 seconds, there's something black moving to the right over here, it sort of feels like. So we'll just play this, and you see, really hard to tell. I'm sure the FBI has much better footage than we do, but it looks like maybe there's some movement right there. Right where my mouse pointer is, right above that. Let's zoom that in. Is there something moving up there? Is that a person? Is that a silhouette of a person? Is it a shadow? Is it an artifact? Maybe. I don't know. Looks like there might be something there. I don't know. Hard to tell. So people are asking about a second shooter. Where could that be? That is one thesis. We also have some more analysis. We have Joy Reid, the woman who I think is trying to be like Donald Trump with her hairdo. She says that it may not have even been an actual bullet. This is wild from her. She says the Trump assassination attempt was staged. It was probably glass or something, even though the Secret Service has now confirmed that it was absolutely a bullet. This is what Joy Reid sounds like as the newest conspiracy theorist in America.
We still don't know for sure whether Donald Trump was hit by a bullet.
We don't.
Whether he was hit by glass fragments.
We don't.
Whether he was hit by shrapnel. We don't have those details. We actually have no details from his physician, even though this man is still a Secret Service protected, and presidential candidate. We know almost nothing. Why? Why don't we know that much? We know that 3 people were shot. 1 person, unfortunately, was killed at the rally. We don't know where they were sitting or standing relative to him.
We're learning more about that.
We don't know why.
But also, do you know why we don't know this? Do you know why, Joy? Your party's Secret Service director is not answering any questions. Your Homeland Security, not answering any questions. Your FBI director. You guys are hanging up on senators. They have to confront them in the middle of the RNC. So why don't your people come out? I'm all for transparency. We support that completely. But why aren't they coming out and telling us anything? Well, I think we know why.
For 9 full seconds, Donald Trump was allowed to stand back up during an active shooter situation, even though they, at that point, had said the shooter was down. How would they have known if there were more shooters or not? Nobody knew that there could have been 5 shooters.
That's
for all
right.
they knew.
Maybe
Yet
there
they
were.
allowed him to stand up in the middle of that, crisis.
Well, they said the shooter
and
was down.
Pose for a photo and fist pump the air so he could get the iconic photo. And then they allowed him to stand up again outside of the SUV instead of just shoving him into the SUV. That seems really unusual. What is the actual injury to
What
Donald Trump's
happened?
ear that's under that bandage? Shouldn't we know that by now? It's weird. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of curiosity about it, in the sort of media world, my profession. It's weird, right?
Yeah, it's weird that you don't recognize he got shot in the head because everybody's confirming that, even the Secret Service. So here was the latest on that one. I found, what did I do with that? Right here, Ken Delanian, he is the Justice and Intelligence correspondent. In case there was any doubt about this, Joy, last night they came out, per Julia Ainsley, says that a Secret Service spokesman confirms Trump was struck by a bullet, okay, not a piece of glass. So the Secret Service themselves has confirmed this, in case anybody has any doubt about it. But it's not glass. Michael Steele was talking about glass. We had Joy Reid now talking about glass, and they're just having a tough time accepting the fact that their demonization of this man has resulted in Trump getting shot in the head. They can't admit it. They don't want to admit it. It shatters their entire worldview and paradigm, and they're having a hard time reckoning with that. So here is more from the New York Times. They said, how is it possible that a gunman got so close to Trump? Times analysis is going to reveal more. And we know that the Times is a propaganda outlet for the Sullinger family and the CIA, but here's what they tell us. About an hour before the gunman let loose a volley of bullets, law enforcement was on the verge of a great policing success. Thousands of people came out. Officers spotted one skinny young man acted oddly, and they actually notified other law enforcement. Guess what? The Secret Service, too, was informed. The suspicious man did not appear to have a weapon. Now, remarkably, law enforcement got the guy. The guy's name was Thomas Crooks. He's a would-be assassin. Officers didn't know that, though. They lost track of him. Interesting, convenient. 20 minutes before the violence erupted, a sniper from a distance spotted Mr. Crooks again and took his picture 20 minutes. But as time slipped away, at least 2 local officers were pulled from a traffic detail to go search for him. But the Secret Service, the agency charged with protecting Trump, did not stop him from taking the stage. We have a loose, suspicious person. All good. We got it under control. Bring the president out. No problem. 8 minutes after Trump started to speak, bullets went out. So they know that there's a dangerous situation. They see him on a roof and take his picture. 20 minutes before, they take his picture. Then they lose him, go find him again. Bring Trump out anyways. Boom, he fires. We have dead people. So here is another group of snipers. Wow, these guys must be like gymnast, balance beam, Jenga masters, in a limbo challenge. They're, whatever. And they're just like magical. You must see them on a balance beam. Incredible. Look at the size of that slope. Wow, shocking. So the call to let the rally go ahead was decided. Is one of many Secret Service decisions that is now being called into question. Another volitional act. Guy with a rangefinder, suspicious person, is a security risk, a security threat. Why'd you bring Trump out? Well, we know. The agency is also under scrutiny for allowing a building within a rifle range to be excluded for its perimeter. Senator Marsha Blackburn said, I'm appalled to learn that they knew about the threat. They brought him out anyways. Multiple investigations are underway. We know what is happening. We've covered all of the congressional inquiries. Ms. Cheatle sat down in an interview, said she takes full responsibility. On July 8th, before J13, an advanced team walked the site to assess security threats. Agents worked with local law enforcement to explain that they could handle it. Said the Secret Service would do what we do. Crucially, the Secret Service decided that a group of warehouses to the north of the stage would be excluded from the security zone. Who made that decision, despite being about only 450 feet away, well within a rifle range, right? So Trump was speaking right here. They say this build, look how close this building is. It's crazy. It's crazy how close that is. And the dude is sitting right there. They let him onto the roof that close. That picture gives you the perspective how close that is. Now, that meant the warehouses were assigned to local law enforcement to secure. Wrong. Secret Service and the police had treated the complex of warehouses. The police say no, right? The police say, no, we told you we're not securing that building. Secret Service and the local police had treated the complex of warehouses as an observation post. It was considered a place to watch the crowd, not a place that needed to be watched. But that created a blind spot, outside the security perimeter. It was exploited by a gunman with no military training and little subtlety. Okay, sure. Who showed up early and acted oddly enough that everybody even photographed this dude and distributed his picture. Okay, this guy's a problem. Find this guy. Here's his picture. They didn't have a weapon, though. Butler County DA Richard Goldinger said, I don't know whose responsibility that building was, but somebody should have been there. And the Secret Service lied and said that they were there, but they weren't. Even if the Secret Service says, okay, I can see this. It's your job. They say, no, it's not. It's your job. The lines are crossed. Got it. But then they lied about it and said that they were actually there. And they said, we can't be there because we don't have the patrol vehicle or the manpower to do it. They notified Secret Service. Now, it was unclear how long in advance Crooks had prepared. Trump announced the rally on July 3rd, but in the aftermath, when the FBI was able to get access to his cell phones, he searched for images of Trump, Garland, Biden, and even Director Wray. He had also typed in major depressive disorder and searched for dates and places for where Biden would be and where Trump would be. One of Trump's planned appearances happened to be about 50 miles from Crooks' house. On Friday, July 12th, the day before, Crooks went to a shooting range, according to an investigative summary prepared by the FBI. The next morning, he bought a ladder at a Home Depot. Then later that day, he purchased 50 rounds of ammo from a gun shop. In his car, a Hyundai Sonata, Crooks bought and brought the AR-15 style rifle bought by his father more than a decade earlier. He bought and brought 2 homemade bombs in which a potentially explosive mixture of fertilizer and fuel was packed inside empty ammunition cans that were roughly the size of a toolbox. Bombs were fitted with a remote control receiver. He brought that. Trump's rally in Butler, supposed to start at 5 p.m. He was an hour late on the stage. Crooks was there at 5:06. The video suggests that Crooks walked around in front of the building that he would eventually use as the perch. Unarmed, unhurried, just taking his time. Officer took a photo of him, spread it around, but they lost track. 20 minutes before the shooting, at some point, Crooks climbed onto the roof of a warehouse, building number 6, using interconnected corrugated metal buildings. The location had obvious advantages, a clear, elevated line of sight, perfect for a sniper. Cheatle said no officers were stationed on the roof itself because of safety concerns arising from the roof slope, which is a lie. Ridiculous, because they had snipers on the other roofs. Now, there was conflicting accounts of how Crooks got up there. A Secret Service spokesman said that he'd climbed up on the roof of his own, perhaps using an air conditioner, but federal investigators believe that he did not use a ladder, even though he brought one. Guy walks in with a ladder. 6:03, Trump appeared. 6 minutes later, with Trump now energetically speaking, witnesses noticed Mr. Crooks crawling into a position on the roof. They alerted officers who patrolled the area. Then it was 2 minutes before the shooting. On stage, Trump continued speaking. Around him, Secret Service contingent was frantically beginning to respond, shifting its focus from scanning the crowd to scanning the area north. They're all on their radios. The sprawling warehouse, the blind spot, was now everyone's focus, on a barn directly behind Trump. Secret Service counter sniper team quickly clambered from one side of the peaked roof to the other. Now they pointed their rifles at the warehouse about 450 feet to Trump's right. Crooks was on the warehouse roof, but it's unclear if the Secret Service counter snipers could even see him. The visual analysis showed that the view for these snipers was likely blocked by the gentle peak of the warehouse roof. Crooks was still hidden, low crawling on the other side. On the ground, officers from the small Butler Township Police Department had been assigned to direct traffic. That was their job. According to a social media post, at least 2 of the officers left their post to look for this guy. 2 officers went to the warehouse. One boosted each other up, looks up on the roof. Oh, man, turns their firearm. Guy bails, injures himself. Crooks reached the peak of the warehouse. Cops are shouting. Witnesses are shouting. He's on the roof. He's got a gun. Then time was up. Crooks fired his rifle 8 times, they say. That's according to a Times analysis of audio from the scene. I don't think that's accurate, man. There's other analysis that we've covered here. 3 guns. If there were 9 shots and he fired 8 times, that's only 2 guns. His first shot appeared to graze Trump, blooding his ear. The other 2 rally-goers were injured. 50-year-old retired firefighter. And audio from other analysis say that there were 3 weapons. So how does he fire 8 if there's 9? Afterward, a Secret Service sniper on the South Barn killed him with 1 shot. That's all. Local police officer and another part of the area also fired at him, but it was unclear if the bullet struck Mr. Crooks. So how many shots did they fire? Okay, so it must be more than 9. We still don't know how many bullets there were. Yesterday, we had some audio analysis that there were 11 shots. That actually matches this. So these other cops fired 2, 1 or 2, 10 or 11. When the police reached Mr. Crooks' body on the roof, he had no ID on him. Officers traced the serial number on the rifle to Dad. In the pocket, he carried a remote control for the car bombs. Not clear if he tried to use it, or if the bombs were made well enough to explode. So we still don't know how many gunshots there were and who fired. At least 1 from a sniper. When we listened to the audio, it sounded like the first 3 were from the one, 5 from another, and 1 in return. 3 different weapons. And there's other reports that are confirming that. So interesting. Now we've got these interesting computer renderings that are out here. And take these for a grain of salt. Okay, another one from Colin Rugg, who's doing awesome reporting on this. But he shared this graphic, which I think may have been created by the Times or some other entity. Yeah, the graphic was from the New York Times, or from Fern on YouTube, is where this came from. And so you can see people are trying to recreate it so we can get a visual on how this is working. Here is the graphic. So the shooter is on the roof. And the bullets come in this direction. And we can see, yeah, it looks like it's not actually to scale at all, that bottom graphic, but you can get some visual on it. There's on the roof there. Yeah. Okay, so interesting on that one. And then I came across another one which looked like this. And again, I don't think this one was quite accurate either. But this is from, again, Carly Bonney clipped this one. This is showing where all the shots went. Let's see what this looks like.
We think the shooter was. Trump was at the podium. Over there is where the people in the field, they were calling the police. They were telling Secret Service that there's a man on the roof crawling with a rifle, right? The police were looking for him. They were circling the building. There were cop cars over there. But all the while, he's crawling up to the top. Now, pay very close attention to this line of sight because it passes right over the first gentleman that got shot.
That looks about right.
And then right behind Trump in that corner, another shot hit that handrail, ricocheted, and bounced back, right? So just in that line of sight, you'll see. Now, behind Trump here, you see both snipers, and they're looking over here, right, at what was happening. But if you notice the trees, it was through those trees, right? The first shot goes off, right? It goes through, it hits the first gentleman, and as you see on that second handrail, behind Trump, it bounces and that injures and kills the second guy. Obviously, they kill him. That's that.
So, and we also remember that there's really this rail, which somebody also gets hit over here. So somebody is hit right here. This guy ends up surviving, and he is escorted out here. Right, Trump gets pulled off this stage. They move him out back to the car. All the Secret Service agents are jumping on. So if it's just this one shooter, he hits Corey in the head. He's down. And then we have this other guy gets hit this direction and it pops off here. But other people are suspecting that maybe there was a second shooter shooting this direction from the water tower back this direction, because there was also a hydraulic line over here that got hit and popped. So they might be thinking that there was a crisscross here. And that, honestly, one question I have as to a second shooter thesis is why wasn't Trump killed? I mean, if there's 2 people shooting at him, how did that happen? The thesis, the response to that, I think, would be that the shooter was hurried, that the cops tried to pull themselves up. He gets freaked out. The shot was not supposed to go off until a little bit later. So shot 1 is early. Second shooter is hurried. First shots go down. Second shooter just pops off a bunch to cause the chaos and the pandemonium and to muddy the water. I think you saw that in one of those movies, Shooter, one of those movies, where he goes to take out one guy. The bad guy takes out one guy but kills like 6 people, right? Just blasts everything. Only needed to hit 1 but kills 6 because he wants to spread it around, right? So maybe that's what that second set of 5 shots was. I don't know. But showing the angle, this is a pretty good recreation, I think.
And as you see on that second handrail behind Trump, it bounces and that injures and kills the second guy. Obviously, they kill him. That's that.
Take a look at what happened.
So that's that second handrail there. And then you see that pops off. That guy gets escorted out. And that's that same location right there. So maybe it is just the one shooter. And maybe the second, it's like one hits him, whizzes by Trump. If he only fired 3 shots, though, we need to know about that second gun. All right, so interesting recreations there all over the place. But what I think we can now gather is that the Secret Service was complicit in allowing this to happen. They had multiple opportunities to stop it. They allowed Trump to take the stage. They have the guy in sight as he's setting up to shoot Trump. And then they lied about it. They covered the whole thing up, blamed the local cops for it. And there's also, we were waiting to hear about their use of force excuse. Why didn't they shoot this guy well before he ever popped off? If they're going to tell us that their policy was, which is, as we heard, that they can only fire once they've been fired upon, that seems antithetical to every other use of force policy that we've ever seen, except in Iraq, basically. Cops can shoot other people in defense of others. Cops can shoot people to defend themselves. So what makes this any different at all? In fact, the standards, I think, would be loosened. If you're on a roof with a rangefinder looking at the president, that's like a threat. Okay, so don't do that. So it's almost as though they wanted it to happen. It's almost as though that they were complicit in this entire operation, enabling it, creating a window, assigning a terrible team, repurposing the Secret Service to other locations so that HSI can come back in, because they wanted a different outcome. By the grace of God, they didn't get it, and we're still here. So we're going to continue to cover this, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. There's going to be a lot more here. Congress wants to get to the bottom of it, and they're liars and they're corrupt, and so more will be revealed. We're looking forward to getting into it with you. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is going to be it for us on the day. We had 2 good segments here, some more assassination stuff. The story gets worse by the minute, and we're going to continue to cover it. But now let's see what you guys say about this. I know there is a lot of reaction to this, some good comments. Let's see what you say about it. Hey, we got some new friends in the house. What's up? Jesse Taylor just became a YouTube member. We did a members morning stream this morning. So if you're looking for some extra content, we talked about the RNC. We talked about Biden and his dementia and the 2024 race and how all that looks. We had a great members only stream this morning. This one from Ryan D, also a new YouTube member. Amazing, Ryan. Thanks for joining us on the tubes. Hey, Wims, what's up, Wims? Good to see you. Been a long time. Says Membo for 11 months. Amazing. Says register R to vote against Trump in the primaries. Yeah, and I saw that too, right? Maybe he was registering Republican to go vote for Nikki Haley. A lot of people will say he's a Trump supporter, so he wanted him dead? Okay, he's a Republican. So like what, like a Nikki Haley Republican? So he wanted Trump dead? Is that what you're saying? Weird stuff. Doesn't make any logical sense. Good to Taylor. What's up, Todd? Thanks for joining us on YouTube as our new membo. Great to have you. We got Jeffrey A. Says, Rob, it is not uncommon for the Secret Service to use agents from other divisions, but those are usually just post standers. So just kind of standing around and taking a post. I've done this many times, says Jeffrey Adams. That matches what we heard from the local police in Butler, Pennsylvania. They were saying the same thing. They wanted us to do traffic, okay? It's like, we're the feds. It's our jurisdiction. We do everything. We're the federal government, okay? So now they want it both ways. Now they want to share some of the blame. Oh, no, they should have secured the building. No. Patriot Rob says, hi, Rob. Hope you're having a good week and enjoyed the speech last night. I wonder if Joy fell and hit her head as a baby. I don't know. Wouldn't surprise me. Or something's off there for sure. I don't know if it's generational or what it is, but who knows. Shannon became a new YouTube member. Thank you, Shannon, for joining us. Grab that members only morning stream, and we'll see you on the next one. Shannon, another one. Thank you for sending a nice dono in. Nice to have you, Shannon. Jeffrey Adams says the Fannie appellate oral arguments are now set for December 5th, 2024. After the election, Fannie Willis having a bad day. Nathan Wade doesn't care, man. He's probably back in Belize or something with some new girl. You know, good for him. Hey, what's up, Patriot Rob? Nice to see you. We've got this one says, what about the woman behind Trump holding up a sign and then not reacting at all to the bullets? Flying, then appears with her cell phone. DHS officer from Patriot Rob. Good question. I've seen some other images floating around saying that maybe there were other agents who were waiting for something to happen. But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that I don't think is quite confirmed yet, but certainly curious. And let's see. We got some new membos in the house. Oh my goodness. We have a bunch of new membos here. What's up? Bruce Rice brought in some new membos. Bruce, thank you for doing this. 20 new membos gifted in. Bruce, thanks for doing it. My new friends, 20 of you are now going to be membos thanks to Bruce. We love you, Bruce. Thanks for doing that. And my friends, thanks for sending all those in. Very much appreciate those. We want to say hello to our friends on Locals. We are going to go over to Locals. We'll hang out for a little bit and we'll chat and we'll see what Locals is up to for our members only after party over there. We got some nice comments and some nice donos. Let's see what's over here. This one came in from Flagpole Guy. Man, we love flags. Here's one from Flagpole Guy. He tells us, we will be great again. We will be great again. We will. We absolutely will. Make America great again, baby. Lady Ice says, Rob, have you seen the story on the shorting of Trump's stock? Filed put options for 12 million. Then on Monday, corrected to 12,000. Right. It was an error. Yeah. One of the main companies involved has ties to either Clinton's or Obama's, I think I saw. We have to pay attention to the next politician's financial disclosure when they next file. Good stuff from Lady Ice. Former says, what is needed? Number 1, water. Number 2, board. From Former. B.H. Williams says, Trump supporter? Well, he's a registered Republican. Isn't George Conway and idiots at the Lincoln Project also registered Republicans? It's a great point. Yeah, maybe it was Conway on the water tower. Love in the Crake says, hang on, Slopey, hang on. Yeah, protect your family from the government. Get the Slope 1000. This is even better than I could have imagined. Yeah, we were joking earlier this week that I'm just going to build my house on a hill and I'll never get raided by federal agents because they can't walk up a hill. Yeah, that's right. It's like, oh, is that why the kings put their castles like on these high locations? Because even back then in the Middle Ages, the feds couldn't walk up a slope. Yeah, that's great. $2.99, never get raided again. They'll walk right up. They're like, is this a meth house? Hunter should have had a lot of these. Oh, they have a slope me. Dang it. Okay, let's just go write some more traffic tickets. NY says, in small towns like Butler, typically a family and neighborhood registers to vote either at the county fair or when they get their learner's permit for driving. His dad apparently was Republican like most in the area. His donation to the progressive cause is more likely telling than his political beliefs. From NY. Bodie says, bomb? You mean just like J6? I thought he rode his bike there. Well, we did see the bike and we did see a car. So who knows? The Rubos are sharing one from John Cullen. Good to see you, the Rubos, in the house. We got B.H. Williams says, every time you play Joyd Reid here, Rob, stop. I can feel my mind going, stop. Will you stop? I'm afraid. Shall I sing you a song? The Rubos share another one from John Cullen saying, all these people got hit and grazed at once. That's one round. Went through a lot of people. Something much heavier. Watch. Yeah, a lot of questions about the bullets. Husky Mom says, Rob, look at the 3 shorts I posted in the news feed, please. Shows 2 other shooter locations and one that has maybe signaled the all go wild. Thanks, Husky Mom. 51K says, ultimately, at the end of the day, how can you prove someone was intentionally inept? I realize after watching the Kerry Lake trial that intentional malfeasance can be explained away with incompetence. And how do you prove someone was stupid on purpose? Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, but I think we'd go through and we'd see their decision tree. Okay, did you decide to do this? Well, explain that to me. Why did you decide to do this? Well, I thought this and this and this. Okay, and then this too. And I decided to do this. Okay, and your policy is normally this though, right? So why did you decide to go against your policy? Well, because I had these other contingent. Okay, and you start adding that up, and then you make your alternate thesis. You say, no, this person obviously didn't want. They broke policy intentionally. They knew the policy. They broke the policy. So you have to have a conversation with them, or interview them or other people to incriminate them. Right? What was going on in their decision-making process, and then you communicate to the jury that they had the intent to create or to be an accessory to an assassination. Right? They were an accessory to an assassination, essentially. How? Because they took these actions. No, I didn't intend for that to happen. Well, then why'd you do this and this and this and this and this? So something like that. NY says, if it's DHS, it's got Mayorkas' signature on it. If the Dems defend him, then the anti-Biden border ads will be powerful. Mayorkas is complicit and involved in exposing our country and our people to danger. Yeah, so here's some more videos from Husky Mom. Possible third shooter over there. Possible shooter on the water tower. Inside job. Was that woman given a signal? Good stuff. Zutral. What's up, Zutral? Zutral's over on Locals. Hey, Zutral. Look at that new picture, man. Handsome as hell. Says, hey, Rob, just a thought. I think it was already covered, but the East Coast Virginia, I think, sniper of 2002, shot from inside his car trunk through a hole and was aided by his son, the driver. That was one of the most insane stories. Do you remember that? Yeah, they in the trunk, they hold out the keyhole. So you go into an old Cadillac or something, you have the where you put your key in, kind of lift the thing up, put your key in there. I think they hold that out. And so you just flip it up, put the barrel of a gun out, go to gas stations, just pop people off, shooting in their, filling their car up, and then close it and drive away. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. It's crazy. He also had a device to muffle the sound. So that being said, it's plausible that another better shooter was inside one of the buildings, car, or even in the ground, unlikely. The building looks like barns, easy to have a hole and a way to replace the hole afterwards with a JB weld or a white piece of metal or similar. Wild. Last, I've wondered why the Secret Service snipers were looking in the correct direction the whole time. Only one? Odd. I've never seen Secret Service, especially snipers, basically in any other Trump rally. Have a great weekend, Robin Watchers. I appreciate you all. Good to see you, Zutral. Yeah, it's a great comment. I don't think you're alone on that. A lot of people, I think, are asking questions about this because we have no information. I mean, even Joy Reid is apparently like us. What the hell happened here? Oh, we all have questions about it because we don't trust the Secret Service. We don't trust our government. We know Mayorkas is a liar and a cheater, and Cheatle is the same. Good questions. And a lot of the Special Forces bros out there on X, I follow them. They're saying the same stuff. What? This is weird. This is a little weird. Tobo says, if there were shots from the water tower, the crowd was close enough to either be hit or to see the results of the bullet hitting the ground. Perhaps they could even hear the whizzing of the bullet. I also think that they would be on the other side of the ventilator on the tower unless they were left-handed. To answer Joy Reid, whose joy would be much greater if this had gone differently? Maybe if MSNBC had some real reporting, they could answer her questions. All right, so some good stuff. All right, so my friends, we're going to go over to Locals and carry on this conversation. We got some other great comments, man. These are some great comments. So we're going to go over there. We're going to continue with these comments. We'd love to have you join us. Membos, we also have a Saturday Membos only stream. So we'll be back in the morning on Saturday to see what else is cooking in store for us. And we'd love to have you join us. So we'll leave it there. I saw a couple other donos come in. Tasmanot says, dude in the white shirt and white shorts, back row of the South Bleacher drops. Was he hit? As the first crack is heard. Doesn't line up with any angle of Crooks on the roof. I can't explain it. It's driving me nuts. I think that's why people are saying that there's a second shooter. Because the angles don't match. You can see one bullet hit 2 points, and if you draw a line through those 2 points, it's not where Crooks was. I think that's the issue. So you're not alone, Tasmanot. It's driving a lot of people nuts. You're in good company. Hey, what's up, Alan? YouTube Membo. Great to see you, Alan. Grab that members only morning stream. We were live just 2 hours ago for our membos. Alpha She-Wolf, 5 membos gifted. Thank you, Alpha She-Wolf, for bringing in 5 new amazing people. And CPL also became a new membo. So great to have you, CPL. And so, my friends, it looks like we had some donos from the Rumbles, oh my goodness, my friends, Rumbles, you guys are amazing. MAGA Pound Cake says this link will work, hopefully. It's a link over to True Social. And so, my friends, you can follow that one. I don't know what that is exactly, but it looks like an interesting one. MAGA Pound Cake says, aloha, Robin, everyone. Love your show, and thanks for all you do. Not sure you've seen this, but I saw it on True Social. Look at the date and time. Interesting, though, from True Social. Okay, I got 2 links from you. I'll take a look at those. And Michael Swade says, eyewitnesses say the sniper team was in the second story. New York Post sources confirmed this. Local PD says it wasn't them. Secret Service says it wasn't them. Bongino says it wasn't Secret Service. So who was the team in the building? From Michael Swade. Second story. Where would that have been? Yeah. Lots of questions. Now, there are going to be, apparently, some hearings on this on Monday. I know some subpoenas went out, and there was a lot of stuff flying around in Congress. So we're going to come back on Monday, and we are going to get into all of that and more. But Membos, we'll be back Saturday, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you then. My friends, we're going to wrap it up and go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We would love it if you joined us, but if not, well, I hope you have yourself an amazing Friday. It's been a heck of a week. We're glad to see that the Trump train right on track. I think we had a great RNC and the election season. It's feeling like there was an energy shift, a momentum shift that just happened. And so we're going to have a nice weekend, unplugging, recovering a bit, getting outside, getting some fresh air, spending some time with the people that we love so that we can recharge ourselves, recharge our spirits, recharge our souls, all of those energy tanks that we need to stay engaged, stay informed. We'll be refreshed, and we'll be back on Monday to get into it again. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a great and a beautiful and an amazing weekend, my friends. We'll see you right back here on Monday. Bye-bye.